In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this. Hi, I'm Ray from Restless Hill Cemetery. In this video, I want to show you how I created the floating lantern prop. This is based off of a modified version of the Axworthy Ghost. It uses a wiper motor to move the lantern on a guide line. And then the other key point on this is I used a 12-volt speed controller to dial it down to an even slower speed to get that eerie ghost walk across the graveyard scene. So let's go check it out. Okay guys, I'm going to go over a parts list really quick for you. I used 2 kids bike wheels. They were a 10 to 12 inch diameter, so I don't think you need anything bigger than that. One 12-volt speed controller, one wiper motor from monsterguts.com, one plastic container that will house the speed controller, one 12-volt female connector, an adapter that was an M8 with a 1.25 threading on one side. That's going to be a female by a 3/8 with 24 thread count. That's going to be a male side for the adapter. And I got that through snakeclamps.com. I'm kind of working on a friend that is working to make a new adapter for me that's going to minimize the amount of length for this piece, because I had to use a coupler and this adapter, and it was about 2 inches long. So hopefully the new adapter will be only about 1 inch long. I also used a drawer slide. I believe that was a 12 inch, if not 10 inch. That's your normal, like cabinet drawer slider. I also used 1/4 inch turnbuckle. That was also about a 6 inch, I believe. And then one 2x4 by 8 Douglas fir. Cut that into multiple pieces for the framing of the braces or brackets that were going to hold the guide wheel and the motor wheel. Here's a picture of the original lantern that I purchased. Then I decided to use it as a reference for making the foam lantern in some shots of the build. By making this, it greatly reduced the weight of the line to help minimize the sagging on the guide line. So here's a close-up of the lantern. Doesn't really look anything special in the daylight in general. What I forgot to mention before in previous shots is that I just used a copper wire as the old handle, and then it hangs by this fishing swivel, so that way it can still spin if it needs to as it's hanging, so the wind will, can take it anywhere. Adds a little bit of the realism to it. And then on the fishing line itself, I use these over here double swivels, so that way the fishing line can actually sit there and twist and bend, and it won't coil up on itself. So this will kind of give it a relief as it's going around on the guide wheels back and forth. So underneath, I hollowed it out again just to make it even a little bit lighter as well. And then for the lens part, since that water bottle was high enough, I was able to make a little door here, and it just pops off like this. So it just, tea light sits inside. I put like a little hole for it to sit inside. It sits right there. That way I can just turn it on and off as I need to. Probably have to replace the batteries in it now, in general, for the season. And then, yeah, I just painted up the inside. Spritzed it with a little bit of black first on the edges, and then backed it with some of the white. And then when I'm ready to put it back on,
it just pretty much slips back right on over. Try to do this one-handed. And from a distance, you really can't tell it has an opening. And it also helps to kind of, with the weather here in the Pacific Northwest, it also helps to keep the tea light, a little more safe, not bogged down with water or anything like that. It keeps it from getting flooded inside. I also, on the bottom side of it, can't really see it, but when I lifted up the candle, you can see there was a line in there that it actually goes through, so it can drain through if water does get through it. So other than that, all this is foam. It hardly weighs anything, which is, again, the plus side of doing it this way. But from a distance, nobody's going to be up close to it. I mean, probably it's from the sidewalk, it's probably about maybe 20 feet away ish, maybe 15 to 20 at max. So with the way it's painted up, with the lights on it at night, it looks pretty decent. I get a lot of compliments on it. Everybody's asking, how is this done? How is this done? So anyways, here it is. So it was a nice day to get the motor mounted for the floating lantern prop. Here's going to be a close-up for, excuse me, showing off the extra parts, as I mentioned before. So I mentioned there was a 1/4-inch turnbuckle that's about 6 inches long. What this does is it helps me to tighten the tension on the spider wire line. So I use the drawer slide as my actuating to go back and forth. This piece of wood right here that the motor mounts onto is just basically a 1x4 by, I think it's 7.5 inches long, and I got it held on there by just plumber's tape. Got it centered as best as I could. So the other thing you need to know on this part is when you use those bike wheels I mentioned before, is making sure that on this drive system that you use the brake wheel. So this would be the back wheel on the little kid's bike. You also have to tighten the brake mechanism, so I just use a zip tie to keep it in place, since it also kind of does the freewheel thing. So if you keep it in place, this will only go one direction. It won't spin both directions. Here's also a picture of the adapter on top. That is the M8 125 female thread. Since the collar on the wiper motor is an M8, and then the lower half is going to be a male 3/8 by 24. So the extended nut is a 3/8 by 24. I got that at Home Depot. So depending on the wheels that you end up getting or find, you got to make sure that you're matching the threads all the way through. And then whatever wiper motor you get as well, you'll have to determine the thread on that, because each one's going to be a little bit different. So I've seen them a lot larger, I've seen them thinner. M8 is probably about 8mm, I believe, is what it is. And so it worked out. But I have a friend that is machining me a new part, so it actually should condense all this down to one piece, about 1 inch total length. I think this right now, as it is about 2.5 inches long. So it puts this extra, zoom out here, it puts this extra wobble on here because of the track as well. So I want it to get it closer to the motor. At the time I built this, I couldn't really find an adapter like that, so I had to kind of piece it this way. I also had to make sure that I put a nut on here so you can do like a set nut, so when you get it on there you tighten it there, so that the wheel doesn't come off as it spins. And then when you go to put this on or make it this way, obviously there's going to be different versions and somebody's going to come up with another idea, and that's great. I just want to show you what I did for mine. So, and that was the only way I can figure out how to make a tension on it, besides, you know, pulling the line extra tight each time, because the tension will go at times, you know, and then your prop just falls off. So this was allowing me to adjust it. So I put it all the way forward as best as I can, and then make my line tight. And then as the season goes, or at least over the next couple weeks of running it, then I tighten it and give it a couple turns each time. And that really helps out. So it's just hooked on by just a basic hook on both sides. And then again, my whole bracket is just made out of 2x4. So I believe this top piece is about 16 inches long. And then my other brace here, I believe it's about 16 or 18 inches. It's been a while since I really built that. And then due to the sag of the weight, I put an extra metal L bracket here. I only have it on one side, but I might do it another time. And it's just fitted through with screws. Up on top here is going to be the little plastic cup that I use to hide the speed controller. So, and I painted it black. So basically I drilled some holes through, just enough for the wires to go through, and then for the knob, and then it just stays all, you know, I just got it hot glued to the wood. I had to redo that because the other one started falling apart. And then I have the 12-volt female controller. So basically it runs off of a 12-volt line, which is connected into the rest of my lights in the front yard. And so everything's all set on a timer, so when it goes, it's on. And then I already have it preset, so basically I just have it to where bring it up to have a decent turning, and basically it will go all the way across the yard to the guide wheel right there. So, and that'll be next. I'll show you up on that one next. I'm just going to give you another shot of it so you can kind of see it in its whole setup here. You're welcome to stop the video and pause it and zoom in and do whatever you can, you know, to mimic that. But again, this is just what worked for me, how I figured out. You might come up with your own idea. This is the guide wheel here on this side. It's non-mechanical. It's just basically, it's just same type of L bracket, which I believe is 18 by 18. I put it on an extra long 2x4, attached it to my fence for this position, for this situation. And then this is just mounted up into the board. So what I did is, since it's a 3/8 also, threading, you know, like diameter, I just did slightly under, threaded that into the board, and then I actually put a set screw on that and a washer so I can actually tighten it down so it just stays there. And then this just free spins, goes either way. There's nothing else mechanical on it for that part. Pretty simple. And again, you know, just get yourself like a, you know, small kid's bike that you can find at Goodwill or garage sale, free on the side of the road, or you can probably just order them. I think when I looked at for a pair, it was like about 20 to 30 bucks or something like that. Who knows with extra fees these days. And then just give it a little bit of spray paint. It's kind of rubbing off here a little bit, but it sits in the back here. Nobody's going to really see it. So, and then it loops back around and it tucks right back into the side of the stairways. Thanks for checking out my video on how I created this prop. I really enjoyed the creative process on this. I really hope it helps to spark a little bit of creativity for you in your own haunt display, something different for you to try out. I do plan on putting out more videos. I just don't know exactly when I'll put the next one out. I don't have a schedule just planned yet. I also want to thank all my friends and family for encouraging me to make this video. It was, like I said, it was a fun process, and I hope you enjoy a little extra creativity on it. And also want to give a big shout out to Jamie at New England Haunter. He's also the other one that really encouraged me to make this, and just his advice over the last year, talking back and forth, and sharing ideas and the props that we're building, things like that. So thanks, dude. Really appreciate it. So if you guys like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Go ahead and comment down below too, so that way I can answer any questions if you have any. And I'll hope to see you in the next one. Thank you. Seed and Screamings.